So last time we were discussing that the analogy what the people, what they are fools, and they compare the creation of Hashem that He created the universe to the work that a silversmith is working. And they compare it and they make the analogy that the same as there, when after he finishes the work, the his work stands by himself, doesn't need the silversmith. So they say that the same thing is when Hashem created the world. So after He created the world, He's standing by Himself, self-existence. But they don't realize, they're blind to see that the analogy doesn't even start, it's nothing to compare. And why? Because when we talk about the analogy, about when a human being is making from a material and is creating something, it's not a real creation. It's just a change of shape and look. In other words, the material has to have some shape. And the only thing is that shape could be changed from one to the other. As we were talking about the creation didn't exist, so there was no shape. So the creation means creation from nothing, making something. So the analogy doesn't exist. Then the Alter Rebbe goes even further, deeper, and says, if you want to compare it, you have to compare to something else. We'll take water. As we see in the Torah, the miracle of the splitting of the Red Sea. And the Torah explains, but that's something that each one of us understands, that if the water stays water, you have to keep holding it up all the time if you want it to stand still. And that's why the Torah is standing, that there was the western wind, the eastern wind, that kept the water standing all day like a wall. If one moment the wind goes away, Hashem withdraws the wind, the water goes back. And why is it? Why a stone, if you put it up, stands as a wall, and the water wouldn't stand? It's because both of them were created in a physical level. So they're physical creations. But the difference is that the stone, besides being an existence, besides that, above it, it has another nature. And what is the nature? To stand still. So wherever you put him, he doesn't move. As water has the nature, besides having an existence, for materialistic existence, has the nature to go downwards. So it will always go down. Now, that nature to stand or to go down, it's not necessarily part of the whole existence. It's a second nature. The first thing it exists, then it exists with such a nature. Even so, if we want to change the way water should behave, the behavior of the water, we say if you want to go against the second nature, you have to keep on doing it all the time. The moment you will stop doing it, the water will go back to its regular nature, to go downwards. And that's why when there was the Kriyat Yam Suf, the splitting of the Red Sea, the wind was holding the water all night long. The moment the wind disappeared, the water went back as always. Now, when we are talking, making now the analogy of the creation, creating something from nothing is much more against the nature than changing the attitude of the thing. And here we'll go maybe a little more analogy, to analyze it a little bit, to see how much it's against the nature. And the reason why I want to go in deeper to that is because naturally we are blindly following attitudes what doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make even any sense in the way we see life. When I see a chair, what is the first thing I want to know? how come the chair is here? Who brought it here? What do you mean who brought it here? It was always here. Would someone think like that? No one would think it was always here. Why? Because it's something that doesn't have a self-existence. Why would it be? Especially here. So every little thing we see, what do we say? Naturally it exists or naturally it doesn't exist? It doesn't exist. We need a reason why it does exist. So I made the chair, I brought in the chair. There was a reason why I did it, from what material I made it, who planned it, who was the architect. Everything has to be a reason for it. What does it mean? That without a reason, it doesn't exist. In other words, naturally, there's nothing. When suddenly something becomes, is it against its nature or it's not against its nature? It's against its nature. Because naturally it shouldn't exist. What makes it exist? There must be a reason. Now, what is more? To go against the nature from water, what goes downwards, and to change that attitude, that routine or that habit, or to make from nothing to make us something. You don't even have where to start from. So it's nothing to compare the creation to even to the miracle of splitting the Red Sea. Yes, it is a big miracle. But it's explanation that you went against one nature of the water. But you didn't go against the existence of the water. You went just against the nature. Water exists and has a nature. You went against that nature. When we're talking about creation, you're going against the whole rule of existence. The rule of existence says that nothing exists unless there's something to go against it. So you have to constantly go against it if you have to keep the water all the time to be able to stand. So how much you have to go? Not only that. Even when it is created already, in every existence, what is more, the negative or the positive? If you want to know what is the real nature, you measure what is more, right? Yeah. That's called statistics. If you have 9 out of 10, you see that 1 is a minority, the 9 take over, so that's the nature of it. And why did it happen the 10th time it was like that? There was a reason, right? So in everything, what more you have, that shows you what's the real nature of it. Now, if we take a cup, what makes that cup a cup? It says, well, there is material. But the material has a shape. What does it mean it has a shape? So let's say the use of a cup. What makes a cup useful? First of all, I can hold it. And second, when you put in liquid, the liquid has walls. What keeps it, right? Mm-hmm. If the material of the cup would not be limited, would it be shaped? So what makes the cup a cup?
It's not limited.
So when you say it's limited, what is more, how much it exists or how much it doesn't exist?
It doesn't exist.
So unlimited, it doesn't exist. A little limited, it exists. Because in all over the cup, it doesn't exist. The table is only here. In other words, what makes it a table? That's nowhere it exists, but here. So what is more, the existence or the not existence? So you can tell me that the nature of each thing is to exist. So it means in each given moment, you need a reason why it exists. Because naturally, what is it? It doesn't exist. Do I need a reason why this table is not there? Or I need a reason why the table is here? What means a reason? Something what makes it happen. So when we talk about the creation means there is ultimate nothing. It's not the nothing what we are talking, because when we are talking about nothing, it's something without. There's no table where here. but the ear didn't exist. So the ultimate nothing. So how did suddenly become something? Say, well, that's a miracle, but we cannot even understand it. How from nothing becomes something. But that nothing becomes something. Is it against the nothing or not against the nothing? Not only it's against the nothing from before, it's against the nothing from each individual thing. And what makes it exist? The creation that Hashem created. So, if Hashem created once, is it once or it has constantly be done? If body water has to be constantly behold. So how much does it have to do? In other words, it's not only the way the things exist, the whole existence, not only the life of it, the existence. Where is the existence? So the Irdal, the Rebbe is saying, we will start maybe in the words v'kolshken v'kal v'chomer, much more so, bebriat yesh me'ayin, in the creation that creation something from nothing. She'i lemala ma'teva, that's a much more above nature. V'afle v'pele, wonders of wonders, yoter more mekiat yam suf, more than splitting the Red Sea. Alachat kama v'kama, so how much more so, שבהסתלקות כוח הבורא מן הנברא, if the power of the creator withdraws from the creation, the creature, חס ושלום, ישוב הנברא, so then the creation goes back לעין ואפס ממש, becomes nothing and nullified totally. אלא, but צריך להיות כוח הפועל בנפעל תמיד. You need the power, what he works and pushes to in the thing what becomes created, is supposed to be him tamid all the time, la'achayoto, to give him life, u'lekaymo. And what is the power? What is the strength what comes from Hashem? Bchinat otiyot adibur, that is the letters what Hashem said, talked, ma'asara ma'amarot, from the 10 sayings שבהם נבראו. But we have the 10 sayings in Bereshit, but for that was created all the creation. ועל זה נאמר ואתה מחיה את כולם. That's what it says, the verse. And you give everything and everyone life. And our sages are telling, אל תקחי מחיה אלא מהווה. Don't say it only gives life, but also gives the existence. The Ainu, Yesh Me'ayin. And that makes him from nothing. Ve'ata, and the word Ata, and B'chiniat Otiyot Me'alef Ve'atav. That's the letter from Aleph to Tav. Va'ei, I'ei Motzaot Apeh. That's the 5 organs, what we can talk with, like the tongue, the teeth, lips. Me'alef Ve'makor Otiyot. Now, we'll take the Siddur, we'll see, we say every day in Vayivarech David, we say, אתה הוא השם לבדיך, you Hashem, you alone. אתה עשית את השמיים, you created the sky, the heaven, שמי השמיים, sky, the heaven, and above the heaven, v'chol tzva'am, all the army, everything that comes with it, like the stars and the angels and everything. Haaretz, the earth, v'chol asher alea, and everything what's on the earth. Hayamim, the oceans, v'chol asher behem, all what is with them. Ve'ata mechaye et kulam, and you give everyone life. So here the Alter Rebbe takes that verse, ve'ata mechaye et kulam, that we say it every day, and he explains us. And before I go into explain, I want to explain. The first part of the prayers is called Psukei de Zimra, verses from songs, poems, songs. Zimra has 2 meanings. One is like singing, and the other one is like In Hebrew it's called mazmera, something that you cut the bushes with. You have the cutter. Why? The prayers is actually a ladder to elevate us from being in a big mud from our ego, from our sadness, for being only with ourselves and to be able to go to the highest heights. And that's the ladder. And actually that's the dream of Yaakov. That he dreamt that the ladder is very deep in the earth, but where does it reach? High in the sky. And the angels are going up and down. Angels are up or angels are down? Where are angels originally? Up there. But in the dream of Yaakov, the angels are coming up first. Why? Because it's talking about our angels that we create, that we get elevated. That's one of the explanations.
Wow.
And because that ladder of prayers lifts us up to go out from the swamp that we are, to go out in the highest heights. And actually that's the work what we have to do every prayer, because in prayers in Hebrew is tefillah. That as in English or in any other language it means asking Hashem for something. As in Hebrew, tefillah means to get connected to Hashem, to be elevated, get connected to Hashem. How do we get connected to Hashem? When we see the ultimate truth in the creation and in ourselves, and how highly and big God is, and we see everything godly, that elevates us. We shouldn't be ego-centered. We shouldn't be like it's only our feel, and so on. But we should be able to go out of ourselves and be spiritual and holy even, get closer to Hashem. But to come to it, we have to go out from the mood we are. And that's why the first part of the prayers of the davening is talking and explaining the kingdom of Hashem, how big he is. For example, if a person is very poor and he struggles every day just to have bread and he suffers a lot, when you want to tell him that he can achieve things in life, he will not even listen to you because he's so down that whatever you say, tell him, he reflects only within himself. So he sees everything from his big down. So he doesn't see any way to go out of it. What do you do with it? You have to take him out from his way of thinking. You bring him to a beautiful place. And you show him how the owner of the factory or place, how he achieved, and how it's so beautiful. And at that moment, he forgets what's doing with it. He's in a different environment. Once he's in that environment, then after say, but you know, you can get it too. You have to do this and this and this. So the showing him and bringing him in the state of mind to see the ultimate reality and the positive reality that lifts him up. That's like a song, takes him out. So that's why the first part of the prayers of the davening is that songs. And that's why we say that the whole existence, the whole universe, the whole planets, the whole angels, what did they do? Hallelujah. Because the kingdom of Hashem, the purity and so on. But we have to apply it to ourselves too. That's why the words go, he created the skies, heaven and the skies and the earth and everything what's in it. And it goes a little deeper to that. Ve'ata mechaya et kulam. And you give everyone life. But it's not only life, it's existence. Why? Like we said here, Hashem has to create every moment, renew the creation, recreate every moment. So it's not only life, it's existence what he gives. But in that verse, Ve'ata mechayez kulam, actually has a very deep meaning. When we take the word Ve'ata, translation means and you. But as we talk in Lashon HaKodesh in the Holy language, every letter, everything has a meaning. We take the word Ve'ata, so we see it as three letters. Aleph, Taf, and Hey. Aleph and Taf are the first letter and the last letter. Hey means 5 in numerology. So now we'll see an interesting point. From one side we say very generally, and you give life and existence to everyone. But how? What's the method that Hashem is using? Again, we look in Ve'ata. Ve'ata means the Aleph and the Taf. That's the first letter and the last letter. So it's all the alphabet, it's 22 letters. How does it express? The same as a person. When he says he has the 5 organs to be able to say it, the same thing Hashem has 5 tools how to express his power, his strength, to give it over to each one. That's why we say Ve'ata, and the letters from Lashon HaKodesh, from the alphabet, made the 5 organs, so-called. That what gives life to everything. Meaning, after saying Hashem, you made the heavens and everything what's there, you made the earth and everything. We say, and you should know that everything out Zaton, that everything has the godly saying of Hashem in it, the godly power in it. That comes from the 22 letters and from the 5 organs. So that means that all the creation, actually, what is it? Letters of the Torah. Where is the letters of the Torah? In Bereshit, the 10 sayings. So everything in the world, what is it? The godly letters, the godly. Now we have to understand what is the analogy from talking and letters to Hashem. Saying, talking could be a human being, existence. Hashem is unlimited. So how can we even put the analogy of talking to Hashem and say it's the letters and say, what is the analogy? The comparison. Yes, logic says it cannot be different. It has to be the creation order. But we want to say it's from the Torah, from the letters. We should be able to understand. How do we compare it? That's it.